Hi everyone, welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about yarn and knitting. I have 2 finished objects today, which is a lot less impressive than it sounds. I also have 3 new sweater cast-ons. I've had a lot of knitting time and that led to me being happily out of control, and I can say my sweater mojo is back. But yeah, finished objects. One is I'm not proud to be showing this, but I finally finished my socks. Sock number 2 has been waiting for a long time just to get the heel in. But now it's done. I have a pair of socks and it's still cold enough that I get to wear these. They're made out of Patons Croix, the gray blue marl, I think the colorway is called, and I only had 1 skein, which was not enough for socks this length. So what I did is I took some dark gray Patons Croix. I used that for cuffs, heels and toes, and I also added a stripe in the dark gray, and that made it possible for me to make these gorgeous socks. And as you can see, they're not twins, they're beautiful sisters, and I love them. It's been a while since I cast these on, but you know, things take time. The other finished object is, of course, what I'm wearing, my cat number 7. I made the winter version. I have the original summer version here, which is short sleeved, a little bit shorter body. This one is 1 color, no stripes, long sleeves, and a slightly longer body. I love this thing. I knit it out of some Drops Alpaca, so this is definitely a budget-friendly knit. And it is so comfy and so cozy, and it's still light enough that I can wear a shirt under if I want a little pop of color. I can wear a long sleeve t-shirt and just let the cuffs peek out. Or I can wear it as I do today with just a tank top under it. I've been wearing this on repeat since I finished it. It is really, really nice. As you can see, you have a lot of ease in the body. But then with the very fitted sleeves, it reigns in all of this positive ease. And the long sloping shoulders really make for a nice fit. You can probably see the shoulders better on the striped version. So on the striped version, it's easier to see how the shoulders are constructed, where you have these 2 stitches running down and all the increases taking place on either side of those. So you have a very long sloping shoulder that again adds to the cozy and nice fit of this sweater. The pattern is going to come out before the knit-a-thon number 7. It's going to come out on March 20th so that you will have time to shop your stash or your local yarn store. But already today I am adding in the description box below the yardage requirements for the striped version, the short, the long, the unicolor, the long sleeves, the short sleeves, so that you can take a look if you want to join me for the knit-a-thon, where I will be working up my 4th version of this top. And why it's going to be the 4th we're gonna get back to that when we come into my whips. Before I start showing all of my new cast-ons, I just want to quickly show you the one thing that was also on my needles last week, which is my last minute socks. I'm calling them my last minute socks because in the very last minute when I was packing up my stuff to go away on vacation, I just squeezed these ones into the suitcase. So they're just plain vanilla socks with a short row heel, but I am striping the cuffs, the heels and the toes with different colors of contrasting yarn. These yarns are all from Twisted Ambition yarns. I bought 4 or 5 mini skeins and decided to use them just like this with a plain sock yarn. This is again the Patons Croix in the charcoal gray, and then just add these as cuffs, heels and toes. And I decided to go with the short row heel, even though I actually prefer the afterthought heel because sometimes the short row heel will mess with my gauge. But I decided that for the look of these stripy things, it would be better with a short row heel. So I went ahead and did it, and I can happily report that my gauge is still okay. I was paying a lot of attention. This is my treadmill knitting, so it lives at my treadmill, which means that I don't get a ton of work done on it, but I do work on it every single day. I don't work the heel while on the treadmill. That would be a recipe for disaster. But when I measured that the leg was long enough, I just took it down into the house. I worked the heel and then I continued the next day. So I'm really enjoying these. I can't wait to wear them, but it's gonna take a while unless I move them to my main knitting project, of course, which I may or may not do. I would like to also make these with a white main color. I think that would look really, really pretty as well. But time will tell. Cast-ons of the week. This is the main portion of the show. Last week I did talk about casting on an Aurora sweater in some beautiful Dererum Natura, the Ulysses, that I got at McKinney Knittery when I was last in Texas. This is a beautiful color and it actually comes through really well on camera now. It is this deep, deep red. I don't speak French, so I am not gonna try to tell you what the colorway name is, but I am gonna put it here and hopefully you can see either the colorway name or the number. If you cannot and you're interested, please just ask me in the comments and I will put it there. But yeah, I cast on for my Aurora sweater. I saw someone on Instagram knitting it. Hi, Lisbeth. And I was like, no, I want an Aurora sweater too. So I cast on this beauty. I am doing a few modifications to it, of course, because I can. The first thing is that instead of the high funnel neck that is on the original, I am just making a crew neck because I like to have to wear a shirt under my knits. So I did a crew neck. I did an Italian cast on. Look how pretty that is. Because I did that, I chose to go down a size for the ribbing because my Italian cast-ons very often stretch out over time. So I cast on for a size 1, and then as I was knitting the yoke, I continued until I was at the stitch count for size 2. I also made the yoke just slightly shorter. It has a rather deep yoke in the original. So for the last 3 increases, raglan increases, I just did them on every round rather than on every other round, just to shorten the yoke ever so slightly. And I have tried it on. It fits me perfectly, just the way that I want it to. The Aurora is a rather basic top-down raglan, but it does have some interesting details. It has these ribbed panels going down the sides of the body into the ribbing on the body. And then they continue on the underside of the sleeves all the way into the sleeve ribbing. And it looks nice, but it also helps the fit, especially on the sleeves, because like this one, the sleeves are rather fitted on the Aurora. The body is shaped in a way that is made more obvious because of these ribbed panels. When you get to the bottom of the body, you work some decreases, but only on the front. So you like pull the sweater to the front, and you also pull it up slightly because you're working some short rows over the back. And that looks really, really nice with the ribbed panels. Hopefully I can show you next week. I am almost at the point where I'm gonna start working the increases and the short rows. I just have a few more centimeters to go here, and I am ready to start working those. I have worked with the Durerum Natura before. I made a perfect little cardigan in it, and I just love this yarn. I just truly love this yarn. When I was at the McKinney Knittery, I was like, should I try to get the Gilead this time rather than the Ulysses? The Ulysses is a spurt weight, where the Gilead is a DK weight, and actually the pattern for the Aurora calls for a DK weight, but I really like working up this yarn at a DK gauge. As you can see, it doesn't get sloppy, it doesn't get overly drapey. That's not the nature of this yarn. It has a little bit of a rustic feel to it, not rusty in an itchy way, but it carries itself. It has this light spongy feeling that many rustic yarns have. It's made out of 100% untreated wool. It doesn't specify what wool fiber, but it's definitely not merino. It has more structure, more hold than a merino would typically have. So working it up at a DK gauge actually just makes the fabric lighter without making it droopy or overly drapey. So I decided to go with the Ulysses again, and I am very happy that I did. Oh, look at that sweater. It's very red, but that's gonna be okay. It's a beautiful red. This is my kind of red, and I think I'm gonna love this sweater. For sure, I love knitting on it. So as I said, my sweater mojo is definitely back. At the beginning of the year, I wasn't really feeling the sweaters, so I've been knitting all sorts of little things and big things, blankets and stuff, but I am enjoying the sweaters again. I am feeling the sweater itch. I am actually trying to contain myself. I want to cast on a fourth sweater, but let's start by taking a look at the 3 sweaters that I actually did cast on, because the next thing that I cast on, also in a beautiful project bag from my friend Bitten, is a summer sweater. I knit the Stromboli by Caitlin Hunter, and I really enjoyed wearing it on vacation when I was in a warmer climate. So I decided I need more sweaters like that. So I cast on, and this is on a not long enough cable, so you're not really going to be able to see it, but you're going to be able to get the idea of what is going on. Isn't this pretty? I am knitting in Drops Bell, which is a cotton linen blend. It's like the Sandnes Line, only much more budget friendly. I cannot for the life of me tell the difference between the 2 yarns, other than the color choices. You have better choices in the Sandnes Line, but I was going for a white, so. The pattern that I'm using is a free pattern from Drops. I'm gonna put it here. It's called Fern Forest, but I am making quite a few modifications to get the pattern to work for me. This pattern was originally written for an Aran weight cotton, which I thought would be too heavy, too much. I was afraid that it would grow too much, and I was also afraid that it would just be too warm for the hot summer days. So I went with the DK weight cotton linen blend that I know is really comfortable in the heat. I could have just gone up a size and all would be good, but that was too easy. Instead, I knit the size that I wanted to knit, but I changed the pattern, the stitch pattern. So if you look here, you can see that I have some faux cabling going on here. In the original pattern, these are true 2x2 cables, and true 2x2 cables are going to pull a lot more on the fabric. It's going to pull it a lot tighter, also making it in the process thicker and warmer. So I decided to go with the faux cables that don't pull in nearly as much, and they make for a larger gauge, which is again a more comfortable fabric. So in doing that, it actually turned out that I was okay on my gauge. You are looking at my gauge swatch. I like to make large gauge swatches. I don't swatch. Don't tell anyone. Another change that I made in the original pattern, let me just see. This is the pattern repeat. One section of cables, one section of lace, and you just repeat that all the way around the sweater. I thought it would be nicer to start and finish each section, the front and the back, the same way. So I have, as you can see, 2 cabled sections next to each other at the side where I'm later going to separate front and back. So I had to do a little math. I had to do a little figuring out, but it was easy. And I am really happy that I did. I just think that it looks neat, I think. I'm probably the only one who's gonna notice. I don't think anyone would look at the original sweater and say, ooh, that's not balanced, that's not symmetrical. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. And yeah, I am happily knitting away on this. It's a lot of fun. Of course, I have to pay a little attention, but this is okay for TV knitting. Not good for knitting and reading, but TV knitting, it's fine. It's very, very simple lace, and the faux cables obviously are very simple too. I was debating leaving out the bubbles, because who wants to knit bubbles? But then again, bubbles are cute. So I decided to just bite the bullet, make the bubbles, and you know what? I'm happy I did. I like the bubbles. The original Fern Forest is a free pattern on the Drops website. I am gonna link it in the description box below, where I'll also link the pattern for the Aurora and all the things that I talk about in this episode. Maybe one would think that 2 new sweater cast-ons would be enough for 1 week. But of course it wasn't. Of course. When I finished this one, I was still in love. I was in love with the pattern. I was in love with the smaller needles. I was really curious to see what different kinds of yarn you could work this pattern in. The first one is in a luxurious yak silk blend. This is the luxury version. It is so soft, it is so drapey, it is so pretty. And silk is a heavy fiber, so you get the drape in this ginormous body. It worked like a charm in the alpaca as well, 100% alpaca. That's also a heavy fiber, and it drapes and it moves with your body. And I will say, for some alpaca yarns, they're kind of itchy to me, but this is not. So yeah, this is definitely a win. But I wanted to see what would happen if I knit it up in a superwash merino, like a simple yarn. And I did have some, oh my goodness, heritage, what are they? Some Cascade heritage. I had some in a really deep dark blue. I had bought 3 skeins at a point where I think I was contemplating knitting up the Birkin sweater with it, because I also bought a handful of contrasting colors. But yeah, the Birkin sweater never happened. And I had these 3 skeins laying around, so I thought, why not? Why not check to see if that's gonna work? And I think it's gonna work. You're working on needle size 3.25 millimeters, so it's not the tightest gauge in the world. And I think this yarn is gonna be drapey enough. I will report back next week, where I will hopefully have gotten just a little bit further. Until now, all I have done is the rolled over neckline, and then I have shaped the neckline with the short rows and started the increases here on the shoulders. There you go. I know that 3 skeins is gonna be more than enough to make a version like this one. 1 color, long sleeved, and the longer body. So that's probably what I'm gonna be doing. For the knit-a-thon, I'm gonna work the short sleeved version, the stripy version, just like this one. And I'm gonna work it up in some circular yarns, some N that I have in my yarn collection. And honestly, I want to work. I want to cast that on too, but I am waiting until the knit-a-thon comes around on March 29th. Then I am gonna try to see if you can also work it in 100% cotton. But these are some very different yarns, and I'm excited to see how the pattern will work with the very different properties of a superwash merino, an alpaca yarn, a cotton yarn, and a yak sole blend. So all of the curiosity. But yeah, quite a lot of knitting this week. I have had a lot of knitting time, and as I said, I have my sweater mojo pack. I have a long mental to knit list. I don't typically make to knit lists like in real life, but in my mind, I have a very, very long to knit list. So hopefully next week will be just as quiet and cozy and full of knitting time as this one. For life in general, I mean, this is a funny time of year. We just started March. I don't care much for March. I think March it's kind of pretentious. It comes with the calendar in hand and claims, hey, I'm spring. No, you're not. You're dark and cold and stormy, and sometimes you'll even snow on us. So just don't do that. But yeah, last weekend was Fastelavn, which is something that I really like. Fastelavn is sort of the Danish equivalent to Halloween, only without all the scary stuff. I think it's the same tradition as the Brazilian Carnival. It takes place at the same time for sure. So I think it's kind of the same tradition that just evolved differently. Oh my God, did they evolve differently? You know, if you have a bucket list, you should definitely put the Carnival in Rio de Janeiro on it. It's amazing. But you know, Fastelavn in Denmark is also kind of cute, just on a much smaller scale. It's basically a kids celebration. They will start in the morning by waking up their parents, by banging their fastelavnsris on them. The fastelavnsris is a huge bouquet of spring twigs decorated with all sorts of candy. So there's the smacking of the parents, the eating of the candy. Then they dress up and they go from house to house, sing the Fastelavn song while shaking their little tin cans with coins that they collect along the way. And then there's a party where they have not piñata. It's kind of a piñata, only it's a wooden barrel. And my dad, who had a great sense of humor, he would soak the barrel in water for 24 hours ahead of time. That made for some very long Fastelavn parties. But yeah, typically there will be one for the school, one for whatever extracurriculum activities that they have, and maybe also one for the town they live in. We took our grandson Victor to the one at the Boy Scouts, and that was so much fun. The little ones banging away on the barrel. The one who knocks out the bottom of the barrel so all the candy falls out is the cat queen. And the one that knocks out the very last piece, which is, by the way, really difficult to get, they're the cat king. So they get crowned and everyone has fastelavnsboller. My favorite cake. They're so good. We are strong on cakes here in Denmark, and all of February you can get fastelavnsboller, and you should. It would be a shame not to do that. So yeah, a lot of fun was had last weekend. I am looking forward to this weekend, where we are gonna go see our granddaughter compete. She is a cheerleader, which is kind of funny because there's really no teams to really cheer for here in Denmark, but she loves the acrobatics of it. And we're gonna go see their competition, their spring cup. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And then we're probably gonna go away to our summer house up on Mors, which is a small little island here in Denmark. We're just gonna hang out there. Oh, yeah. Long walks on the beach and long nights in front of a fire. It's gonna be lovely. I hope you all have something really nice to look forward to. I hope you're knitting on something that you love. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and keep knitting.